1. Good evening, everybody. I'm Grim Reaper, and with me, as always,
Cynical Squid.
and
Perrythepig.
and tonight on Last Week of Epoch, we got our special guest, Maomaox. How you doing, Maomao?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing
Thanks
well,
for
man.
having me.
Glad to have you on finally.
Work, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Time's a
the
human
timing's not
construct.
that great for me because of work. So
Well, that and you're on the West Coast too. And
yeah,
most of us are in the East Coast time. So,
Yeah.
but tell us a little bit about yourself, Maomao, and how did you get into Last Epoch?
How did I get into Last Epoch? I think I started back in April of 2020. When did COVID start?
Yeah, I think so.
Like
Yeah, about that
March,
Around
April,
that time.
somewhere like that.
So I couldn't go anywhere, so I was like, looking for a game to play pretty much. Because at that time I was just playing WoW, a little bit of Diablo 3, and then searched around for ARPGs to play, and I came upon Last Epoch at that time. I think I watched Lizard. I think he's the first stream Lizard IRL. His first LE streamer that I saw playing, and so that was interesting. I thought I'd give it a shot. But when I actually purchased the game and played it, I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Cause when I first played it, the graphics, first I was like, man, the graphics are kind of bad.
But to be fair, they're still like.
Yeah. Still not. But I mean, the gameplay is not like Diablo 3 was like it's kind of like it is what it is, a very casual game, but it's very smooth. Like I have to give that game that, right? The Last Epoch felt a little clunky and to get into, but I think it was okay after a while and got used to it, and it was very enjoyable trying to figure out builds and get into the game.
So, speaking of builds, Maomao, your nickname is the Lich King. You want to explain to us how you got onto playing Lich as one of your main things?
I think at that time, the ladders weren't too full of notepad mains. So basically, I looked at the ladders. I was like, who's this lizard guy? So he was playing Acolyte at the time, and he was playing Lich. So I was like, okay, I think I'll try that. And then basically, I enjoyed the class, and I got into it because of Lizard. And then kind of just went on from there. The community is really great. After that, I did meet Vision, and because he's always on in the mornings, so I hung out with him a lot in his stream a lot. And then I don't know. I played the other classes, and I think I like Mage the second most. I think I played Mage first, actually. I didn't play Lich first, and then Glacier at that time was very, very strong. But now it's kind of like, it's not bad, but it was nowhere near like how it was before. And then, but overall, I enjoy Lich a lot more than the other classes because of the fluid gameplay, which is not as fluid as before because of the the nerfs.
Specifically, the nerf to
the movement.
Man, what are the skills even called? Like the
reap and
transplant. There you go.
Yeah, I know Perry enjoyed that a lot too when he first started playing Lich. He mentioned that a lot. I'm pretty sure that's part of why EA said, I think we should nerf it.
Listen, you gotta complain about things like that, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's intentional or not, they should know about it, and then they can make their own determination.
Right.
But I want to ask another question real quick.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned at the beginning that when you started playing Last Epoch, it was kind of clunky, but then after a while it got better. So when I start playing a game and it feels clunky, I just stop playing it because there's got to be something there that actually makes me want to play the game. So what was it for you that made you push through the clunkiness?
I think the variety of builds I could play and just come up with mix and match of different skills and try to figure things out. I did YouTube. There wasn't that many content creators at that time, and of course, Boardman was one of the main ones at that time with his videos, and I did play a Void Knight as well in the beginning. I followed his guide for like a shield throw guide. But anyways, as far as clunkiness goes, I mean, it wasn't to a point where it wasn't unplayable, right? Like there were some things about movement, especially in the first act where you're crossing those bridges and the first. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys know.
Yeah,
That's
Like,
still a thing.
that's still a thing. Yeah,
that's still clunky
it's
now.
not better, right? Like some of the edges when you're moving around the maps, it feels like it's not smoothed out, and you get stuck sometimes, and that's how I died in arenas a lot back in the day. And then at that time, arenas they actually had a lot of I forgot the word is called, but it's like a slight lag after you move or after you transplant, for instance. If after you transplant, you can't move for like a split second. I'm not sure what it's called, it's like a delay or something. But eventually, one of the EHG, I think EHG Justin was in one of my streams, and I mentioned this to him, and then a couple of actually patches later, it got smoothed out, and I don't see it anymore, which is very nice. I don't think you guys experienced it, or at least I know Perry didn't. By the time he played, it was already fixed. So, I mean, I think EHG is doing a really good job doing optimization from like last year till now, and I think they're just I hope they keep on improving, and for multiplayer especially, right? Once X comes out, then if it's not optimized by that time, we're gonna have a lot of problems, I think.
I mean, that's when everyone's gonna come back and check out Last
Right.
Epoch, right?
Right.
It's funny that you mentioned pathfinding as something like moving around corners and your character might get caught on something. So what I've been doing for the past like week or two at this point is I've been doing Vision GL's weekend Last Epoch races, starting on Friday, ending on like Tuesday morning or so. And then during the weekdays, I've been swapping back to Path of Exile because like there's a new league, there's a lot of stuff to do, and I'm like very casually working my way through some Path of Exile content. And swapping between the two games really highlights some of the things that
Yes.
one game does well or one game I wish it did different. But like Path of Exile, I'm happy to like critique or compliment games when they do something right or wrong. Path of Exile has some like amazing pathfinding. Like you never get stuck on any edge. It feels very clean. And swapping between the games, it really enunciates the difference. Because in Last Epoch, like you said, it's like you really do get stuck on logs, especially in Act 1. Like at the very beginning of the game, it's like you try to round a corner and your character just stands there. So
Crossing that
I
bridge
get
is
where
the
you're coming
hardest
from.
thing. The hardest thing to do is crossing that damn bridge in Act 1. It's like, why?
It's-
Why it's at the beginning of the game should feel incredible.
It should.
So hopefully that's a priority for them, much later when they're about to
Yeah.
release multiplayer.
Or maybe they
That's
should
when you hook a new player.
Yeah, right. If you're a new player, like, dude, what is this clunky game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you played some Diablo 3. Have you, before getting into Last Epoch, did you play any other ARPGs before that?
Not really. Last year, there hasn't really been any games I've been playing to dedicate too much of my time with. I did play WoW and play that, I guess, semi-casually for PvP. I'm not a big raider. And PvE content is not really my thing because it takes too much time. I don't have the time because I work full time and real life and wife and stuff. So Diablo 3 is like one of those games where you can play for a weekend and then just call it for a season. Like once the season starts, you do the season start, you do the grinding to get your set gear, and then try out what the new set bonuses are for that particular season, and then get to Paragon like 600 in like 3 days, and then call it. I'm done. Because I don't actually enjoy anything after that because it's just very. I don't know. It's just Paragon grinding at the end of the day, and then fishing for rifts, right?
Yeah. I was like, you pretty much just described every Diablo season for me since like season 4. Like that's literally just all they've been is like my friends and I get on, we power through all the content, we get up to Paragon like 500-600, and then we're like, all right, cool, well we're done with this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah. The mechanics isn't very. I mean, it doesn't last very long. Those seasons, I guess. I mean, unless you're like a really hardcore Diablo 3 player who wants to push. What is it? 150 GRs now, or I don't even know what the top GRs is anymore.
150s, yeah.
150s, and doing like solo content, solo GR 150 fishing, and I don't know. The whole fishing thing is kind of like not really my. I don't really
just in case somebody doesn't know what that means. What is fishing in GRs in Greater Rifts?
Oh, fishing Greater Rifts. Well, you pop into a rift, you see what the map layout is, you kind of see what type of mobs there is. If it's trash, you just leave. You just do that over and over again until you see like an optimal or a possible map that looks like, okay, well, this mob type is easy to work with, right? And then I could, for my build, and then I should be able to clear this in X amount of time and finish it. Hopefully finish it, right? So, but I mean, like, you're just gonna do that over and over again until you find one. At the extreme high levels, I'd actually never gotten that high, but I mean, that's what people do.
That kind of sounds similar to what Arena is right now in Last
Right.
Epoch,
Well, yeah.
regarding the Chapter 9 monsters, right?
Right. I mean,
Like, it's a little similar.
it is a little similar. But then yeah, we're not really leaving. I mean, technically, I guess you could, like your wave 128 with the six meteor boys dropping a
Listen, that was like a day ago. I'm still in pain from that.
Yeah, I mean, like the mob difficulty shouldn't be that different, right? Like, sure, there should be some difference in variety of difficulty amongst mobs, but it shouldn't be like night and day. It's literally like there's no other mob sets that you would have gotten at wave 128 for your gear and level that should be able to one-shot you in a span of 0.5 seconds. Like there shouldn't be a mob, at least not at wave 128. If you're like wave 300, sure, right?
Yeah. Let me lay the scene. Let me paint a mental picture for the people who don't know how I died a day ago. So there was the tournament, the Vision GL tournament that we did. It was hardcore Sentinel. I had a really good character, level 95, and I had a Bastion of Honor, which is the shield that gives you a 100% block chance, and then I had a Valdir's Chalice. So like my character's pretty good, had good gear, felt pretty good about it, 3,000 life, and I had just left at wave 190 because I was doing what Mao was just saying. I was fishing, so I had a whole bunch of memory keys. I was trying to get like past wave 200, but I wanted to do so safely because I had all these keys saved up. So at wave 190, I got some crystal elementals, and I was like, nope, I'll just go fishing. So I portaled out, left, then I started again at 100. So I got 100 up to 128, and there was like a 0.5 second period where we broke down the camera and we like, went frame by frame and like watched the camera or the timer tick by on the Twitch clip. And at the 1 second mark, it was just like the 1.5 second mark is when you would have realized that this monster over here is a Ember Mage. And then like the 2 second mark, which is a half a second later, my character is dead.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that shouldn't have been.
Yeah. The Chapter 9 mobs are just insane. I probably said the phrase, oh shit, those are Chapter 9 mobs like 15 times today on stream going through monoliths. Because like everything was going cool, and then all of a sudden a fireball comes down, and I'm like, oh shit, those are Ember Mages, and now I'm like running around with like the Benny Hill music on, praying I don't get hit by them.
So Mao, you said that you don't like the fishing meta of how D3 works, and you don't like PvP. So what has you playing Arena all the time? Because you're like, as far as I know, you're like one of the number one, handful of Arena pushers in Last Epoch.
I do like PvP. I don't like PvE raid content as much.
Oh, gotcha. I misheard.
Yeah. I do like the competitive. If I can actually compete, like if I was trying to start like Path of Exile today, there's zero chance of me even being able to compete because there's just so much content out there already. But if you're playing like a game that's in early access, you try to learn some, try to get ahead of the curve before the game releases. Maybe I should be able to be competitive when the game actually does release. But what is this? The Arena, I enjoy the Arena because it does present different scenarios for what your character needs to do to complete a particular wave set. being able to understand like the mobs and what they do, the mob types and what they do, and be able to react to it properly. The map sets, the tile sets, knowing your positions. I feel like that's kind of like a challenge, and I feel like that's kind of what I enjoy doing in Last Epoch. Monoliths, Monoliths is a totally different. Like I guess there's two groups of players. Well, they're not two groups, but there's more. It feels like there's more people who enjoy monoliths rather than arenas, because a lot of people say arenas is very repetitive, which I do agree. But a player such as yourself who does enjoy the monoliths more than arenas, I feel like when I watch you play arenas, once you get to a certain wave, it feels like you're more engaged in the game than you are when you play monoliths, right? Because monoliths, you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna walk around with the orbs just surrounding me and just blow up the whole screen and kind of be like a PoE, character. But then like
I'm
when
really
you're
called out for my appreciation of devouring orb, but okay,
yes,
go on.
and then like if you're in arenas, it's a little like the gameplay is a little different. As far as knowing how to react to certain scenarios. And I find that learning about that, or learning the maps, learning the mobs is what's fun about the game for me, and playing around it with the build that you're actually playing, right? Or you're trying to play, or you're trying to create. And then knowing if your build's feasible, or is it garbage, or is it good, right? Good builds, as Perry would put it.
As opposed to functional builds.
As
It's
functional
a phrase
builds.
that I've used in the past.
Yes.
What does good build mean for you? Like so for reference, I've called functional builds. My bar for functional is very low. I think most builds end up being functional builds. It means like you can do 100 corruption, you can kill Lagan at 100 corruption, no big deal. But then like a good build would be like maybe 200 or 300 corruption, or like maybe 200 or 300 waves in arena. Like what does good mean for you?
I would say right now in the current state of the game, I would say if you can get to 200, 250 would be like a good barometer, I believe. I think 300 will probably be like a really solid build if you can get it there. The thing is, there's the difference between a solid build that could push arenas and be able to go into monoliths and being efficiently farming monoliths with the same build. I guess Lich is kind of an exception because Lich can do both, and that's why I like playing Lich, because it's mobile and it does good damage, and it can perform well in arenas as well as monoliths. Whereas I believe dot builds do not perform as well in arenas, but they can be easier to play in monoliths, because you could just keep going and things die behind you and you just sorry.
No big deal.
I've got a visitor.
It's okay. My cat was visiting me a minute ago as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I want to give you a little bit of privacy, but
Sorry.
speaking of like dot builds, crit builds, I know the build that you've been playing most often is like we mentioned the Lich King thing.
Yeah.
You've been playing a lot of like crit, Lich, necrotic damage using the Marina's wand there.
Yeah.
Is there like another build that you've played over the past, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years at this point, that's really stood out to you, or is it just like the Lich is the only one for you?
Are you talking about other classes?
I'm talking about like, is there anything else that you've been enjoying? 'Cause you play a lot of builds as well.
Yeah. I mean, I have a good idea of some of the other classes. I probably enjoy the mages the second most. And right now the static orb is probably pretty good. It's a very strong skill right now that they introduced, or that they reworked. It was this patch, right? 8.3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so playing around that I think that's probably another meta build for the mage. I haven't really played too much of Sentinels or Primalists, honestly. Primalist is probably my least. I'm not. Sorry, my wife. I haven't even mentioned Rogue, but I think the least amount of time I played on a character is Rogue, actually. Um, Sorry, what was the topic again? I kind of.
It's okay, you're just like,
Oh,
I
why
was
is the
asking
topic-
about builds that stood out to you, other than
Other
the
than
ones
the
that I
Lich.
know you
Okay,
for.
sorry. Yes, my wife was yelling in the back of my ear, so I couldn't.
I
What?
always feel like when I see you on a character that isn't a lich, that it's always like not a meme, but like you're taking like one aspect of something and just pushing it as far as you can. Like right now, I know you're playing a like a crit spell EQ primalist build. I think it's a
Shaman?
druid,
Yeah,
might be a shaman, and
shaman.
like
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
pushing just like the bonky damage as high as you can. I know the first time that I met you was you were showing off how much damage you could deal with storm crows.
Yeah, yeah. The crow storm. Yeah.
It's like how I feel like you might be into like one big number. Just getting one big number to show up
Yeah.
as much as possible.
I like the crit numbers. I like the big yellow numbers. Yeah, yeah. The
None,
dot.
none of
I
this
mean,
damage over time nonsense for you.
yeah. Although the damage over time nonsense can actually get just as high, but it's not highlighted in big yellow. It's not highlighted in big
It's
yellow.
not as satisfying.
Yeah, it's not satisfying.
Sure.
But
So now,
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, how far have you gotten to push Lich though, in as far as arena goes? Like, what's the highest you've gotten one to?
Uh, I think I try to do 400 plus every patch just to see if the build can perform. I mean, it can actually still stay good in the current patch. I mean, this build actually gave me a lot more difficulties well, because of Chapter 9 mobs, and I'm not very familiar with that. And but after a while, after getting used to it, I think it's after you do like you play something over and over and over again, you kind of get used to it and you kind of get a feel of how the mobs will react, and then you'll be able to react to it. And
Is this
eventually, I
the
was able to
spell
push over
EQ build that you're getting used to?
the what? I'm sorry.
Is this the spell EQ build that you're talking about getting used to? Or is this a different build?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the Lich, because I was answering Grimm's question about the Lich. So I mean, like it's more um, every patch because I feel like that's the build that I enjoy the most, and I specifically put guides out for that particular build. I don't really have another build guide on my YouTube. It's just the crit Lich build every single patch for the past 3 patches or 4 patches, and then there was a time back in 077 when sacrifice was a really strong skill, and it was very satisfying to actually see the whole screen blow up with sacrificing zombies as a lich. But that's unfortunately it's not functioning properly, and I haven't been able to play around with it because it doesn't work. But it doesn't work like it used to, so I can't really bring the build back, unfortunately, because of that. And I don't know if they're like the devs just don't care, or they just intended it to be the way it is now. What I'm talking about is right now the chain explosions on sacrifice. If you're trying to do it away from you, if the zombies or if your minions are away from you and you sacrifice them, the chain doesn't work. But if you're in the close proximity of all your minions and you sacrifice, then the chain does work. But I mean, unless you're playing like a melee range sacrifice build, it doesn't really make sense to do that. Like you're putting yourself, in harm's way. And before it was more like, it's supposed to be a ranged nuke build, pretty much.
So it
Uh,
uses like their nearby instead of your nearby, or it used to use their nearby instead of
yes,
your
correct.
nearby.
And so you're
Got
nearby.
it.
Yeah, you don't have to be close to your summons to blow them up and blow up the whole screen. But now, like if you try to blow it up, you just blow up one of your minions, and it
So
doesn't do
you're giving me a hard time for liking Devouring Orb, but you're gonna sit there and complain that you can't blow up the entire screen from off screen. It's like, oh man,
It's not really off screen. What people used to do was uh what's his name? What's the first boss's name again?
the Abomination.
Abomination, yeah. He was the guy that everyone tried to one shot back in 077. Like we try to make builds to one-shot Abomination. He was like the guy who like Borman tries to blow up like one shot. Like I try to blow up one shot. Like Apprentice try to do it too. Like everyone just uses him as a like like a build like clickbait kind of thing, right? So
We have a dummy for that.
yeah,
We don't need to one-shot bosses.
it's a one-shot boss build. Click here. Yeah. So
1 billion DPS.
1 billion DPS. Yeah.
This is starting to feel like more like Path of Exile all of a sudden.
Right. There's builds that are very clickbaity, right? You see the screen capture on the YouTube is like you see like 1,800,000,000 damage on the dummy, but it's not functional. Like you can't take it out to like Empower Monolith and do anything with it, but you can.
There's a build that people keep touting to me. It's like a crit judgment thing but it uses Gambler's Fallacy, the amulet that makes you crit every 4 seconds. And like the play style is like you use this skill and then this skill and then this skill and then it's only when there's a blue moon and then the Big Dipper is in this position of the sky and then you swing and then it does like 1 billion damage and it's like who cares? I can only play that build once every 4 seconds.
Yeah. So,
Mao, you're so. This is one of the reasons that I like hanging out in Mao's Twitch channel when he's streaming. It's like you're so soft spoken. You're so. It's like easy to hang out.
Boring. I'm
No,
boring.
I like
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say.
I smell a bromance brewing.
I'm not full of energy.
I want to know. I do have another question. So speaking of sacrifice, something that like used to work in the past, but it got nerfed or changed, or it didn't quite fulfill the same fantasy as you wanted to. Is
Right.
there is there like a buff or a nerf that you would introduce to the game if you were given the opportunity? Is that the kind of question that you spend your time thinking about?
No, I kind of just as far as buffs and nerfs, like it doesn't really matter, because the thing is, I was whatever ESG does. I mean, I don't browse the forums. I don't give my feedback. I mean, I guess I should, but I don't do it because I'm lazy, I guess. I kind of complain my own space. Like, when I especially so 083, they took away shrouding affix from the belt, which effectively nerfed my defenses by 50%, I would say, because I lose 50% dodge. Shrouding is the dodge on potion use.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, I was not very happy about that particular change, but I know there's other people like Lone Star who didn't like shrouding, who didn't like the well, I don't want to point him out specifically, but there's a lot of people, I guess, that I think Quiet too wasn't very much of a fan of use potion to gain 40% dodge every 4 seconds, and they felt like it was a necessary prefix on the belt. But now, sure, they took out shrouding, they took out the dodge on potion use, which everyone felt like it was necessary, and they didn't like it. They were forced. They kind of like felt like it was forced to be put onto your belt as a prefix. But now instead they replaced it with cleanse, right? What build do you not like, except my build, apparently, because I can't use cleanse on my lich build because I'll cleanse my damage. Pretty much every other build will have the cleanse prefix on their belt, right? Like I'm pretty sure
that's so strong. Sure.
Yeah.
Remind me real quick. What the I already forgot the name of it. The dodge affix. What was it called?
Shrouding.
Shrouding. Was that flat dodge or percent dodge?
Flat dodge.
So
what you do is you just get a tier 5. You want to get a tier 5 shrouding. It gives you up to 450 flat, and then you roll percentage dodge on your boots and your neck, and your boots and your neck, and your chest piece, and that'll be able to bring up my my dodge up to 50, almost 50% on the lich when I potion, of course. and then I will still have about 2100 HP. So now I don't have the 50% dodge, but I have more HP. But I think effective HP I lose quite a bit.
I mean, absolutely, right? Because you're just taking hits so much more often.
Right. And
So,
yeah,
so the meta right now is just like
HP
percent
stack.
life wherever you can, hybrid life
Yeah.
wherever you can, and then like life in as many places as possible.
And pretty much that's just a meta way of that's the current meta for building any defenses for any character, right? Like it doesn't matter what build you're doing. Like everybody's gonna be crafting the same thing for those slots. Like if you don't do it, I mean, unless you're actually doing like some mean build, I don't know.
I mean, even if you're playing an evasion-based build, like a rogue or something, you're still
Right.
gonna have
You're still
very similar looking. You're not gonna roll percent dodge on a piece of gear.
Dodge is no. I maybe rogue maybe, but yeah, hybrid health, percentage health and hybrid health is king right now for it. And I'm hoping legendaries will actually change the build meta or gearing meta a little bit, because I don't know, it feels kind of like in these tourneys that we do, right? It feels like I'm pretty much the plan is to do the same thing for every character. I get your defenses, get your resistances up, and then work on your crit avoidance, and then work on your HP as much as you can. And if your character can support armor, you want to stack armor as well. So that's pretty much every character, I would say, unless you're playing like a super, I don't know, a rogue. The only exception to this is probably the rogue, I would say, that you can maybe do something with dodge maybe and glancing blow, and if you play a block character, you add a shield, you put some block effectiveness, hybrid block somewhere.
I mean, the real differentiators are just like the class affixes. So like
Yeah.
on your relic, on your chest piece, on your helmet, those prefixes, that's the spice of your build.
Yeah.
Everything else is just like bare bones, life, res.
Yeah.
About it, right?
Right. And then like right now I feel like Sentinel has probably the best implicits on their gear for other class implicits on their gear than the other classes, especially like Acolyte is pretty. I don't know.
You don't get anything.
Acolyte relics are freaking garbage. Like I don't know if I'm pretty sure you agree with me there, right? Anytime you play with it, like what I don't know what they're thinking with the relics on for the Acolyte, but I mean it's pure garbage.
It's the relic choices for Acolyte are more of what's the least bad instead of what's the most good.
Right. So I don't know. Druids next patch. Coming like I think Friday will be a pretty interesting dev stream that you won't be joining, right?
Listen, I'm busy on Fridays. I don't know about Grim. I don't know about Cynical, but like I got stuff to do during the day on that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I also end up missing most of the dev streams because of my work schedule, unfortunately.
Yeah, me too, actually. I just kind of maybe be able to lurk that in there a little bit if I'm actually on my lunch break or something. But I try to check the VODs a little later, or maybe people's Discords to see if there's any interesting leaks that he does on stream. So
Or any interesting, Halloween costumes, anything like that.
Bees, the bees. Yeah, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts about bees and the squirrels and stuff? Like,
is this a family podcast? Can we talk about the bees and the squirrels?
I mean, I'm pretty sure
it's after midnight, so I think we're
Yeah. But this is like the after dark edition. So
this is after dark edition.
We're gonna talk about the birds and bees now. We actually have something that we can talk about. And by talk about, I mean I didn't realize that this was posted already.
Yeah.
So I just wait a minute. I just pulled up Reddit because that's a better way for me to browse the forums than the forums are.
okay.
So I knew that we already had the information about Druid, which is what Mao was just talking about a second ago. We know that we were gonna get like the Druid teaser at the beginning of the week, and then every day for the rest of the week we're gonna get like a different chunk of information.
Yeah.
They posted the Entangling Roots info already.
today.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
today.
All right. So everybody's looked at it but me. Regale me. Please, give me some information. What do we know about Entangling Roots? This thing's about to get changed in a big way, right?
I actually didn't have a chance to read it myself too much.
So the only thing that
Can you tell us about
the
it?
only thing that I saw that stood out to me, because like I just like skimmed through it super quick, they are adding the ability to do ailments with Entangling Roots now, which I think is going to be
yeah.
super interesting.
I
So
see
we've
they
had
have
poison before, right? Like it did fizzed out by itself. I don't think it ever did bleed, but it had poison per second or something on it.
Possibly. I'll be honest. I've maybe cast Entangling Roots 10 times ever in Last Epoch. So, look, the only Primalist build I really play is Tempest Strike, and you're not casting Entangling Roots in Tempest Strike, okay?
Listen, your Tempest Strike build that you've been struggling through looks very cool.
It does. It looks visually impressive.
I want to talk about Entangling Roots, but I also want to talk about how awful Tempest Strike is.
Oh, I think you should save that for Flintler when he comes on.
I would love to have Flintler
Oh,
on.
God,
That
yes,
guy-
please.
That guy spends half of his stream talking about how awful Tempest Strike is.
He'll spend the whole hour talking about how terrible it is.
I would say, and look, as somebody who's been playing Tempest Strike for like the last month, I can also spend a very long time talking about how bad Tempest Strike is.
But it looks cool.
It does.
Except for the 0 attack speed and the fact that it's garbage. Visually speaking, it looks really cool. It makes me want to play it. I'm not going to.
No, do not. I'm telling you, do not. It's that down that path lies madness. Don't do it.
Yeah, Tempest Strike is just a mana potion. I feel like. Just pretend it's a mana potion.
So that was my joke today on stream. Was I was just walking around randomly Tempest Striking because I have like Ice Thorns, Tornado, and Maelstrom all on auto cast at this point as part of the build. So I'm just running around Tempest Striking nothing. There's no mobs I'm hitting with Tempest Strike. I'm just using it so I don't run out of mana.
Right. I wonder if they're gonna make some changes to that. I think they will, but they're not gonna. They specifically said. I think Mike specifically said they're not gonna change. How it's not going to scale attack speed.
Yeah,
so they're gonna.
Yeah, they said they were changing some stuff, but they're not going to fix the biggest problem with it, so it will still probably be very bad.
Right.
So
I don't know.
Shade too.
I was looking at the Druid, some of the clips that they were showing on the preview yesterday on the website. And I feel like the first thought that came to mind when I saw Maul, I believe that's a skill.
Yeah,
that's the one that's a
running
little,
skill. Yeah.
It's the one that's a little leap
Yes.
attack.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah, that leap attack. The first thing I saw was that guy's gonna die mid leap. Like that animation is
so
kind
that
of like
that skill can use the Fury Leap skill tree, which is neat.
right.
But the complaint that I've had about Fury Leap in the past is what you've just said. It doesn't
Right.
really scale with attack speed. You can't make it leap faster.
Right. You can't leap it faster, and you don't have invulnerabilities while you're in midair. A lot of times, like especially when people try to do leap over Lagon's beam, because visually it looks like you're hopping over the beam. And no,
You can't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody has who played a Primalist tried that, but yeah, it's
You try it once. It's one of
once.
those things.
Yeah.
And then you just never play Primalist again, pretty much.
I would like to. So because nobody here has apparently read through the Entangling Roots things, I've just browsed through this, and I want to say like 3 things about Entangling Roots. So first of all, if you're listening to this on Spotify, for example, please go look up the Entangling Roots things. It looks visually way different than what it used to look like. I actually didn't even know that the visual rework was for Entangling Roots. I was trying to scroll and find out what it actually is. So it's going to look kind of like Ground Slam from Path of Exile, if you can believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes out in front of you. You could make it into a big AoE around you, kind of like Val Ground Slam. Listen, my brain is kind of in Path of Exile mode right now. Sue me. But aside from a handful of interesting nodes that I see listed up here. Make it poison, convert it to cold damage, all sorts of stuff. I see one thing at the very bottom, which does look pretty cool. And this actually makes me want to play some new builds. This says the root wave, which is the AoE as it extends out from your character, it causes your minions and other allies to deal additional physical damage with spells and attacks for 8 seconds. So you can use this to like give flat damage to your minions, which sounds great. That sounds like a really good source of damage. I kind of like it.
Yeah, but right now I think the roots already have a percentage buff for your minions and your allies already. Right now, so they're just changing how that's working, I guess. And
So it's
from
really
the
percent
visual,
damage, not flat damage, right?
yeah, it's percentage damage and it's not flat, right? So I mean, yeah, and it looks like visually, it doesn't last as long as the current roots. You know how the current root kind of lingers for like X amount of
For like
seconds.
4
and-
years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the mobs don't just get stuck and don't move forever. Yeah, that doesn't look like it's gonna be the case anymore. They said that the base description says that it roots the mobs in place for 1.5 seconds, so it immobilizes them for 1.5 seconds.
So it no longer gives them a 99% slow for 8
Yeah,
seconds.
right.
Okay.
So there's no snare. It doesn't look like there's any snare anymore. It just is a root for 1.5 seconds and that's it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the skill. I have to see how the entire tree is. The conversion that makes it from physical to cold is nice. That it scales. It looks like it's a pure conversion, right? From everything, converts all damage. Looks like it converts all roots. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. It's only the base damage converted to cold. So it's not all added. Oh wait, no. It's all. Wait, hold on. Is it all sources? Oh, it's not. I thought it was all. I thought it was like kind of like the lightning thing where all conversions. It's a full conversion, but it's not a full conversion. It's only the base damage.
What would not be converted? So on attacks, you often have a bunch of flat physical damage coming in from your weapon implicit.
Right.
But from
right.
spells, you have adaptive.
Oh, that's true. This is well, it doesn't say. Oh, yeah, this is a spell, so I guess it doesn't matter, huh? I was more thinking about yesterday's lightning conversion, but I guess that's since this is a spell, I guess the conversion is from physical to cold.
Now that is a good shout because oftentimes most attacks in Last Epoch never convert the added damage.
Right.
They only ever like convert the base, which is like 1, or like maybe they'll convert the tag, but they won't actually convert any damage. It's a little awkward with attacks in Last Epoch. But with the Volibear update that we saw yesterday, wait, what's it called? The Werebear update that we saw yesterday.
That turns him into Volibear, basically.
It turns into Volibear. You can have your Werebear form have a bunch of like added lightning damage. You can make it have lightning procs, have a bunch of lightning stuff, and it looks really good. And like you said, one of the things that stands out is you can have a skill that converts all added damage.
Yeah.
So, which is like pretty unique altogether.
Yeah. I was looking at the charge, the rampage as well, and I was just thinking that's pretty much like a shield charge from Sentinel, except you're a werebear.
You can turn slightly left and right.
Slightly.
Different skill. Thank you very much.
Slightly. The slightly is like 10%.
Totally different skill.
Totally different. Totally different skill.
It used to be lunge, but they don't like lunge, so now they give you not shield rush.
Not shield.
Not shield rush. Yeah.
Furry shield rush.
So so shield rush also deals damage as you run through enemies. That's like one of the 2 skills you're going to be using as a movement skill as a sentinel. So what you can use now as a primalist when you're a werebear, you can have lightning bolts going around you as you're rushing around. What's the skill called? Rampage or something?
Rampage
Whatever
is
the new
movement
werebear
one.
skill is called.
Bringer of Storms. Oh my god.
Is that really what it's called? Cool name. No. But that kind of feels like the assassin playstyle for monoliths. So I kind of want to ask you about this now. So in monoliths right now, we don't really have a reason to kill any monster, except for the monsters at the very end. Yes. So sometimes if you're playing a build that has garbage clear speed, what you'll do is you'll literally run past every monster, run to the objective, start it, and then start fighting finally.
Right.
How do you feel about that? Tell me your thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, it depends on the build. If your build's able to do that, then that's what you do. If your build can't do that, and you have to, because the thing is, you have to be tanky enough to actually do that, right? You can't be like a squishy ass character and try to rush to the end of the monolith, not kill anything, and expect to kill like 40 mobs, unless your build can somehow survive to the end and then just one shot everything. Maybe I can't think of something like that.
Blade Dancer.
Yeah, Blade
Yeah.
Dancer. Yeah. Shadow daggers is still pretty strong. But I mean, shadow daggers can kill everything along the way too. I mean, it doesn't really need to actually do that. But I think Sentinel is one of those classes where certain builds there's no benefit in clearing. You just rush to the end because you can just tank everything and then at the end blow everything up because otherwise it'll just take too long. The past weekend I was playing Serpent Strike on Prime List, and when I first got to Monolith, it was very excruciating. The skill you can't play. It feels like unless I'm doing it totally wrong, which I might have, but I got some consultation with Flintner, so I don't think I did it all that wrong. But it feels like until you get the top 2 nodes that support Serpent Strike, what's that called? Aspect of the Viper, and you get those nodes filled up. Oh man, Serpent Strike feels really not good. Because I was in a monolith. Yeah, my first monolith was full of Unga Boonga guys. What are those guys called? The spinny, the caveman with the big, yeah. I forgot what they're called.
Petrified flesh, purified flesh.
Yeah, for those flesh guys.
Fleshy boys.
Yeah, and then
the Ooga Boogas naturally.
The Ooga Boogas, yes. And I can't kill them because there's so many of them, and then if they're like in different positions, they're all spinning at the same time. I can't get in to poke them. So like, I'm okay. I tried that so I tried the strategy where we have to run to the end, but I can't do that because it's hardcore. So now I'm left with the dilemma. Okay, well, do I just leave the monolith? So I left the monolith, went back in. It's the same fucking mobs. And now instead of those guys, I had those guys, the smasher guys with them. What are those guys called? The guys with the necrotic.
I think it's Chunga Wunga. Is that one?
Yes, Chunga Wunga, yes. So you get those spinny guys and the bonking guys.
Say their names. Say their names.
Jeez.
Petrified flesh and some other flesh. Yeah.
Ooga Booga and the Chunga Wunga. So when I was playing Serpent Strike,
it took 10 minutes. It took about 10
my gear looked like what you're describing. I had Aspect of the Viper on my helmet. I had Aspect of the Viper on my chest piece. I had Aspect of the Viper on all my idols. And those were the most important nodes. Yes. Yeah, they're just hard carried by Aspect of the Viper,
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of that when starting the first monolith I did. So that monolith took fucking literally 15 minutes. It was like I think it was the longest I ever took in a single monolith on any character that I played. So it was not a very good experience, but I might have just been doing something wrong. So I asked Leonard to maybe like check it out, see what, if you had any tips for me if I will actually want to revisit Serpent Strike in the future. But once you actually got all the nodes for Viper and got some of the idols, then the chest piece and the helmet, then yes, the build does become a lot more stronger. But
you know what's funny about that? So we just had that Primeless tournament like 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago or so, and I was playing like melee EQ thing. And the whole time I was thinking, if we ever have another one of these Primeless tournaments, I think if Serpent Strike's available, I'm just gonna play Serpent Strike. I'm gonna play Serpent Strike for every single Primeless tournament until I find something else that I like. Because that skill has 0 mana cost, and Primeless mana is just awful. It's so
it sucks.
I had to build. So another thing I did on that tourney I actually haven't done ever was build healing effectiveness, increase healing effect, because with Serpent Strike there's no leech really. You don't leech from poison, unless you do
like
melee
Bleeding Heart Amulet.
Bleeding Heart Amulet, but then like my damage is just not good enough. Even the Bleeding Heart would have not done too much for me. So Warcry's node for heals is up to 300. If you have increased healing effectiveness, that thing just fills up your bar pretty much instantly. Along with Maelstrom, you know the heal per second on Maelstrom, or per stack, I'm sorry, of Maelstrom that you have increases with increased healing effectiveness as well. And I felt like that was really good sustain um, for Serpent Strike, and it wasn't too bad on the mana if you are casting Maelstrom from Warcry. So I felt like that was interesting. Like that, I guess that's the only thing I learned, and I felt like another way of sustaining. Like I always, my question to Flintler was, and to you, I guess when you were playing Serpent Strike was, what is your sustain? Like, how do you sustain?
That.
Yeah, pretty much that.
All of that. It's funny. I was thinking about Leech as well. So, I guess for anyone out there who's not playing, these builds, Leech is just way better than anything else.
Yes.
You take the build that Mal was just talking about, and like you have the Warcry going off every 4 seconds that heals you. You have maybe even Terra's Blessing that's going to heal you. You have healing that could be coming in from Entangling Roots. You have healing that can coming in from maybe life gain on hit because you're poking things. Maybe life gain like per second from Maelstrom as well. And when you have all of those things, and you also dedicate prefixes to building healing effect, it feels pretty good. However, all of those things and all that dedication in your build feels equivalent to Leech. So you could have all of those things and like all these build sacrifices that you're making, or you could just play a build that has Leech.
Right.
And like Leech is so flipping good. It's man.
Well, and the Leech it scales off your damage, right? So it's like you're scaling damage, you're scaling your Leech, you're scaling survivability, and that's why I like crit so much. Like crit Lich is just it's everything. Like I play Serpent Strike, and I'm like shit. I have to spend so many prefixes to build mana regen, to fucking get healing increase healing effectiveness. I have to do so much things just to survive, right? And not even do like much damage. And then like I could literally do the same amount of waves that I did on the Prime list, which was 102 by the way. From last week.
102?
102.
Gotcha.
You're like, oh, you could just do that with a key of memory, and it's just like beat me in 2 minutes, which he did.
But so the character that you normally play is like obviously a Lich, and a Lich uses Death Seal because why wouldn't you use Death Seal? And when you're leeching with Death Seal, you also get Overleech, which is basically the same Overleech that you get in Path of Exile. In case anyone's wondering about that, and like it's absurd. It's very strong.
Yeah.
That must have been a rude awakening for you playing some Primeless this past week.
Yeah. Primeless. Oh my god. But I mean, I expected that. So I mean, I can't really, compare everything to Lich because otherwise, it doesn't feel. That's why I don't play too many other builds because just a lot of things don't feel as good.
Tell you what, I see Grim getting antsy here. I know we're getting toward the top of the hour. Can I give one more question? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. Tell me for the Druid stuff that's coming up for the rest of this week, what's the thing that you're most looking forward to? It could be like reading over the Entangling Roots. It could be the new form. It could be some of the new graphics. What are you looking forward to most?
I'm hoping they will actually demonstrate how transformation in and out will be, like doing transformation swapping. I'm not too sure what it's called exactly, but like switching from where
I think
stance,
kind of thing like that. Yeah. So if they do something that makes it beneficial for you to do that, it'll be pretty interesting to play. I would think because it'll be a lot more skills that you can play with, right? Werebells will have a set of skills. You pop into the other form, you have another set of skills. Maybe when you pop into the other form, you'll get some kind of benefit, some buffs that will synergize with, I don't know, Spriggan, for instance, right? Although I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but they're doing reworks for all of this. So it'll be pretty interesting because there's going to be, if there's good synergies between the different transformations and you could swap between them, the class itself is going to be so different than every other class in Last Epoch right now, because they're going to have access to so many different skills with this transformation swapping, right?
Like 15 instead of just 5 or 6, yeah.
Right. Well, right now transformation werebear is just swipe, right? You just werebear swipe.
Yes.
And that's how you. Oh, charge. and then swipe. So, but yeah, I'm really looking. I'm looking forward to that the most. As far as the third transformation, I don't know. Is it going to be? Is it going to be transformation? That's going to be really weird.
I heard pig transformation.
Big transformation.
I don't know.
That'd be
I heard it from somebody. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I don't know about you. What are you looking forward to? Or any of you guys for the Druid? The last 3 seconds, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
of
you
the...
really didn't leave us much time. Listen, I'm looking forward to the forum. I always like new stuff. The forum has been a meme that I've heard about for a long time. People keep telling me about like Caterpillar forum or some ongoing joke that the devs have, but yeah, sure. I mean, that's my answer.
Yeah, mine's also the new forum. You know, like the spring and rework will be cool, I guess, but like I want to see what the new form is, because like that's an actual like new skill getting added to the game that we've never seen before.
Right.
I'm excited for those Entangling Roots, the changes to them, because now you could apply elements. You said before, Perry, you could do poison with them, right?
You can
think
put
there's
them
a
bleed.
poison card in there. Listen, it really shows how little the four of us have played Spriggan form, or like we've played these Entangling Roots. Like you get something like Quiet for me, or you get Flintler in here, and they can tell you about these skills for like another hour and a half. But like you and I, it's like, you know, Grim, you and I really haven't used Entangling Roots very often.
No,
I haven't played Primalist hardly at all. I think I have like 7 or 8 hours total on Primalist. That's it, which is one Primalist character getting all the way through campaign, and that was it.
All right, I look forward to having reasons to play Primalist, because that's like a whole new class being added to the game. That's my answer. Lock it in.
Yeah. What feels like, looks like. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully.
Please.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here on Last Week Epoch. Maomao, thank you so much for being a guest and being here. And to everybody that's viewing right now live on Twitch, thanks for tuning in, guys. And if you're watching on YouTube, we also are on Spotify as well. And we're also sponsored by Anchor on Spotify. So make sure you guys go and check that out and check out Anchor. But from all of us here at Last Week Epoch, have a good night. And thank you, guys.
All right, thanks.